Hello everyone, and I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing latest and everything Telltale games, Transformers, and more. So, today is a really big day, and you wanna know why that is? Well, today, July 7th, marks the release of Skybound X Issue 1, and of course, that means the Clementine comic is finally here, and as you can see, I got the Charlie Adler Clementine cover, but I've also, as I dig into my bag of comics, I literally went about half an hour ago to get the store. Oh, and here we go. I also got the Tilly Walden cover as well, and these covers, I gotta say, they look really good. Like, as you can see here, I'll put it in front of the camera. You've got the main cover, but it also says, on the bottom here, from the world of the Walking Dead, Clementine, in the same font that's in the most recently announced graphic novel. But then also, we have up here, we see I'm featuring new stories from the other things that are featured in this issue. We have the Rick Grimes 2000 story, we have the Manifest Destiny story, and we have the Ultra Mega story. So, yeah, this is, really exciting, but also, not gonna lie, I'm really nervous about reading this, because I've seen a few people, like, and some friends of mine that have read this comic, and they've said they've absolutely despised this comic, and I've seen bits, like, titles on YouTube that say, like, oh, the Walking Dead Clementine comic ruins the final season story, and again, like, it might be bad, and if that's the case, oh well, like, you can't win them all. I don't think it's gonna make the final season any worse. Like, I'm not gonna look at the final season like, oh man, now this ending's ruined because of the comic. No, I'm not gonna be like that if this comic ends up being bad, and, I'm excited for it, and at the very least, we have the Rick Grimes 2000 stories to read, so this is it. We are going to be reading this is my reaction / read-through of Skybound X Issue 1, which will feature the Clementine one-shot. So, we're gonna go ahead and start. If you like this as excited as I am, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so, starting off, we have a little, I guess it's a forward from Sean Makowitz, aka the editor-in-chief from Skybound, so let's go ahead and read this. Okay, this month's technically marked the start of Skybound's 11th anniversary, but pandemic math allowed us to take what was originally planned for the 5-day span of San Diego Comic-Con 2020 and grow it into a year-long celebration that began with the release of Negan Lives Issue 1 and stretched across every new release such as Stillwater Issue 1, Ultra Mega Issue 1, and every issue in between, all leading to this, Skybound X, a weekly series meant to showcase Skybound's biggest series from our past, present, and future. We've had the honor of working with so many new and established creators that I've lost count, launched 46 new series, please don't check my math, and the ones included here were chosen to represent our first 10 years. Rick Grimes 2000 reunites the invincible team of Robert Kirkman and Ryan Ottley for a Walking Dead story that started as a backup in The Walking Dead issue 75 back in 2010, which has the distinction of being the last issue of that series without being published by Skybound. Rick Grimes 2000, or RG2K as they abbreviate it here, fuses the sensibilities of both those titles into one of the most bonkers stories we've ever told, and it's so big it's being serialized across all 5 issues of Skybound X. Next up is Ultra Mega. This I've seen the artwork of it. It looks really interesting. I might want to pick up on that. Next up is Ultra Mega, our breakout hit of the year created by James Herron. This story takes us back to a period of time we didn't explore in the main series and features Ultra Mega's protagonist, Noah, as a young boy learning some hard lessons in a post-kaiju world without heroes. If you're not up on the series, check out the first 4 issues while we work on the next arc that will be debuting in 2022. Okay. Our third story is from the world of Manifest Destiny, the historical adventure series by Charles Dingress and Matt Roberts that started in November 2013 and will be ending this year. Okay, I never heard of this series, but it sounds interesting. It's one of 2 original series that defined Skybound's publishing identity in its early years and populated the familiar story of Lewis, Clark, and Sacagawea's exploration of America with homegrown monsters. Oh, now that sounds actually really interesting. I really like the sound of that. Transforming it into a page turn about survival, colonialism, and Sasquatches. This story allowed the team to revisit one of their favorite dead little monsters through the lens of the most classic of American entertainment, Merry Melodies. The final story, Clementine, is something that we've wanted to do forever. It's impossible to discuss Skybound's history without mentioning the impact of Telltale's The Walking Dead. Not only did that critically acclaimed best-selling series showcase how involving a creator in the creation of a licensed game would lead to a better game, but it also gave the world Clementine, who is important to Walking Dead gamers as Rick Grimes is to Walking Dead readers. There are many people behind the scenes who care immensely for Clementine and want to see her journey continue after the events of Season 4, but it wasn't until cartoonist Tilly Walden signed up that we knew the best way to do it. I hope so. I really hope so. This is the best way to do it. This story is the first step on an adventure that will continue for many years to come, as we learned last week when they announced the Clementine graphic novels. The goal here has always been to do business differently, taking inspiration from the Image founders' imprints, accumulating hard-earned lessons from our dealings at other comic companies, and settling up a creator-friendly environment for folks to make fantastic comics. These past 10/11 years, it's been a joy to share these amazing stories with you about characters you grow to love and hate, and occasionally make you sick to your stomach when we kill one of them in the most unexpected way possible. Thank you for reading, and we have so many more stories to tell from Sean Makowitz, Senior Vice President. Alright, so here's the order. We have Rick Grimes 2000 Chapter 1, which is our first story. We have Ultra Mega, the true story of the Ultra Mega, story number 2. Manifest Destiny's Fezron Fezroff, which I'm not going to be reading the Ultra Mega or Manifest Destiny stories here. And then we have Clementine Lives by Tilly Walden. So first off, we're going to go ahead and read the, I'll put time codes in the video if you want to just skip to the Clementine, me reading Clementine. But we're going to go ahead and start off with Rick Grimes 2000 Chapter 1. I'm interested to see how they'll do this, like if it will just pick off immediately where 75 ended, or are they going to include 75 again as like a, as a catch-up, like in case people never read it, because it was only ever published in the original 75 issue. It wasn't ever published in a volume or anything like that. So let's see. Rick Grimes 2000 Chapter 1. The continuing story of alien horror begins here. Oh, it's all new stuff. Alright. Rick Grimes was a small-town police officer, and we see from issue 1 of Shane and Rick battling fighting the criminal when he gets into coma. Then the world fell prey to the Walking Dead, shows all the walkers. Rick grew into a leader. He gathered people and organized them. They became a force more than capable of battling the forces of the dead. And we see Rick, Andrea, Tyrese, Glenn, and Michonne all battling walkers. But the dead were only the beginning, and it shows a bunch of alien ships attacking. All right, and oh, okay. So we are revisiting the So it is. So we're actually It's a repeat of issue 1. I mean, not issue 1. Issue 75, so it starts with Rick waking up in the hospital bed, not in the hospital, in the alien bed, but it's recolored, so they recolored the comic. Interesting. I like this. Ryan Otley's artwork is great, because I've been reading Invincible. It's really good. So Rick gets up from the bed. Where am I? He sees he has the robot hand, because the governor cut his hand off in the comics at this point, so he has the robot hand now. What the? He walks down the hallway, he bumps into a button. A cabinet opens and we see a superhero costume. What the hell is going on here? He puts on the costume that's still walking down the hallway. Hello? Anyone? And then the door closes. A trap door opens above Rick. Oh shit! And then... oh, that's... flip the page. And then... oh god. Oh god, I forgot how brutal this looks. Rick's just screaming as he falls from the spaceship. He falls right into Alexandria as Glenn and Douglas are getting devoured by walkers. Now, for any of you who don't remember, of course, Glenn dies in issue 100 of The Walking Dead, getting killed by Negan. But at this point in the comics, Negan hadn't been introduced yet. We hadn't met Negan, Princess, Ezekiel, Alpha, Beta, the Whisperers, the Commonwealth. None of it happened, so Glenn ends up getting devoured by walkers. And so, also, I don't think Carl's lost his eye at this point either, because this is like right after they got into Alexandria, so... yeah, Glenn and Douglas are getting eaten alive by walkers. Rick lands surrounded by walkers. What the? What? Carl? And then, as a bunch of walkers are approaching Rick, one of the walkers' heads get blown off all over Rick. And then we see Rick in front of Axel, Tyrese, and Martinez, and they're all wearing, like, these ridiculous superhero outfits. Rick says, Tyrese, what's going on? Am I dead? Tyrese says, no, the aliens have been gathering us as we died, turned us into super soldiers for their army, but we revolted. Rick then says, aliens? What? Axel? Hey man, it's so good to see you again. And Martinez. Awkward. Yeah, because, of course, in the main comics, Rick actually ended up killing Martinez because he found out that Martinez was a spy for the governor. And Martinez says, it's all good, dude. I really was going back to get the governor and bring him to the prison, so you did the right thing. Although that all happened anyway, so you really didn't need to kill me. I have mixed feelings about the whole thing. And then we just cut to Axel cutting off a walker's head with his, I assume, like it looks like he's got an axe, I'm not sure. He says, we're in the middle of a war here. Long pause. You follow me? Yeah, because that was Axel's catchphrase back in the comics. We just have Rick sitting down as Axel, Martinez, and Tyrese are all killing walkers. Can someone please tell me what happened? And then we see Michonne come in with her lightsaber, katana, killing a walker. I'll try to fill you in. And we get this nice double-page spread of Michonne against all the alien ships that are attacking. About 3 weeks ago, you disappeared. Sorry about the hit to the head. That was back. That's how issue 75 ended. Ended with Rick going all crazy, and then Michonne knocks him out and puts him in jail. But you kind of lost it. We didn't know what happened to you. You'd vanished right before our eyes. That's what happened in issue 75 as well. We didn't know what to do or where to look. We didn't even have time to try to find you. A few days later, they came. The aliens. It turns out that all of this, everything we've been living through, the fall of civilization, the dead coming back to life, all the lives lost, our lives ruined, it was all part of a diabolical plan. An unknown alien civilization came here for our water. It's like a currency for them. They brought about the downfall of our civilization by causing our dead to come back to life and attack us. Now they're rounding up what's left of us, turning us into a slave race to help them harvest the water. But we're fighting back, working to unite what's left of humanity in one final battle to take back our... And then the governor comes and just rips off Michonne's head. Oh god, seeing it like recolored, it's so brutal. Just seeing literally Governor's Claw just comes in, rips off Michonne's like upper face and just straight off. It's super brutal. And then we see the governor. He's got the eye patch, the claw arm, and Laurie's like clinging to his leg. Then the governor says while holding Michonne's head, "What she forgot to tell you, Rick. Nice to see you again, by the way. Is how completely and utterly hopeless her cause is. Even Laurie here agrees. So what's it going to be, Rick? Are you ready to swear undying allegiance to your new alien overlords? Join us or die." And that's where the 75 that's where the original story ended. It just said to never be continued. But until now, wow, it's so weird seeing new stuff. So now we have Rick covered in Michonne's blood, staring at the governor and Laurie, while with the governor holding Michonne's head still. Rick says, "Laurie, you're alive?" Laurie's crying as the governor holds her back. "Rick, and then the governor says, "She is alive as I allow her to be. Listen to me, Rick. I have been given gifts you can't imagine. Our alien overlords can be very generous," and he tosses Michonne's head away, "unless you cross them. If you cross them, well, you get it." And we see Michonne's headless body with her lightsaber katana on the car. Rick looks over. Oh, and his arm's like a grappling hook arm, like the what in Sekiro. Rick reaches over with the arm to grab the lightsaber. Governor says, "Such a fool." We cut over next. "Now I get to pay you back for killing me." I mean, technically it was Lily that killed the governor, but sure, go ahead with that, Rick. Or governor. Then Rick activates Michonne's lightsaber, and Rick says, "Or I get to kill you again." And we get an awesome lightsaber fight between the governor and Rick on the next page. "You can try," says the governor. They have this little fight scene. Rick kicks governor in his eye patch. Oh, and he cuts off the governor's hook arm. Oh, that's great. And the governor's clutching his bleeding arm, and then Rick says, "I'll succeed." And then oh shit! Oh, and now Laurie's aiming like her arm turns into like a Mega Buster and it's aiming at Rick's head. "Rick, please. You don't know what you're up against. You don't know what they're capable of. Please don't fight it. Surrender." And it's Rick just looking in horror at Laurie as she aims her cannon arm at him, saying, "No, Laurie. No. To be continued." Wow. So that was Rick Grimes 2000 Chapter 1. That was really, really good. I'd like the twist of Laurie being an antagonist or being forced into an antagonist role. I could totally see Laurie dying or like Rick being forced to kill her by the end of this story. But I really like that. It's good. That's cool that Laurie's turned into some sort of she's kind of been like almost indoctrinated. I know that. Sorry for I'm just into Mass Effect at the time. I just finished Mass Effect 3 for the first time. Kind of reminds me of that. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. If the Clementine story is bad, at least we have this. This is pretty good. So let's see about the creators. Robert Kirkman is the creator of the Eisner Award-winning comic book series The Walking Dead, which has developed into an AMC television series and has become a worldwide phenomenon. He is also the co-creator of Invincible with Cory Walker and executive producer of the Amazon Prime video series of the same name, which I actually love Invincible. Again, if you guys want me to do a review of the Invincible TV show or comics, let me know in the comments below. He's also the co-creator and writer of many comics such as Firepower, Oblivion Song, Die Die Die, Outcast, and Super Dinosaur. Of course, Super Dinosaur being the comic Duck mentions to Clement Season 1. Firepower is actually his most recent comic. I haven't got a chance to read that yet. Oblivion Song came out a few years ago, and I've been meaning to get into that. Die Die Die, he's actually working with Scott M. Gimple, who's the executive producer on the Walking Dead television series. And Outcast was a really good comic. I read like the first 3 volumes of it. I never got around to finishing it because the comics actually just ended, so I'm interested to go back to Outcast. And then Ryan Ottley is the artist of the best superhero series of all time, Invincible, which is recently adapted into the hit animated series Amazon Prime. He just concluded an extended run in Amazing Spider-Man and is the artist of the new Hulk series debuting later this year. Oh, that's pretty cool. Good for him. Cliff Rathburn has inked Ian Rotley's pencils in the pages of Invincible and Amazing Spider-Man, toned over 188 issues of The Walking Dead, inked Jason Howard and Super Dinosaur, and is the creator of Reaper and the upcoming Remote Space. Where does he find the time? Dave McCaig is an Inkpot award-winning colorist known for his work in the color supervisor on Warner Brother Animation's The Batman, and for coloring boatloads of comics, including The Walking Dead Deluxe. He did the colors on this. Yeah, The Walking Dead Deluxe is basically, they've been reprinting the original Walking Dead comics, but they're actually making them in color now. So I'm excited about that. And then Russ Wooton is an Eisner-nominated comic book letterer, best known for his work on books like The Walking Dead, Firepower, Oblivion Song, Ultra Mega, Monstrous, Deadly Cross, Decorum, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and many more. An artist, designer, writer, and filmmaker, Russ has been lettering full-time since 2003, drawing it for as long as he remember, and reading comics since before he could read. Alright, well that was Rick Grimes Chapter 1, and I really like that. Of course, I wish I could show you all here, but I can't because I'm worried I might get copyright strike. I know, like, a lot of people who read manga on YouTube got into a lot of trouble with that, so maybe I'll put, like, if you have the issue, you can just read along with me. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip now ahead to the Clementine comic, so let's see if we can find that. Alright, is this it now? Yep, alright, here we go. Clementine. Clementine Lives. Everyone take a deep breath, everyone. Here we go. Clementine was first introduced in Telltale's The Walking Dead, where she grew over the course of the game's 4 seasons from a scared 8-year-old into a formidable teenager. As a child of the zombie apocalypse, Clementine has always persevered through the darkest of times, and her story is far from over. This issue marks her first appearance in comics and sets the stage for the journey ahead. So, the first page is what we saw a couple weeks ago of Erickson's school. We see Erickson's school. It's all fortified. We see Clementine's in AJ's room. It looks like AJ's still asleep in his room. We see Clementine's bunk is empty, and there's a little Disco Broccoli plushie next to her bed. We see Clementine walking down the stairs with her peg leg, steps outside Erickson's. We see her stepping outside the gate, smiling as the sun rises, closes the door as the walker reaches out to her, and she walks into the woods. Okay, new stuff now. Here we go. Clementine's walking out to the fishing shack, just as I said. She walks inside the shed. She's searching, she closes the door, and she's looking for a box. She opens the box, and there's a map. Maybe Marlin's map from Season 1? Not Season 1, Episode 1. She looks around, and there's a rustling noise, and it startles Clementine. She looks at the door. Clementine, she opens the map. Clementine opens the door. She sees a walker approaching her, and she's got a knife. I'm a little busy, you know, says Clementine. She limps over to the walker and stabs it in the head. Damn, Clem, you're a savage. She looks over at the walker. Then she closes the door and is reading a book. It says Appalachian Trail Map. Okay, so the Appalachian Mountains, that's where Vermont is. And as we know from the story of the Clementine Lives comic, from the upcoming the synopsis, we know that Clementine is going to Vermont. So she's looking at the comic. I mean, not the comic, the map. So that it's not Marlin's map, it's a map of the Appalachian Mountains. She puts in her backpack. She's looking, and then she's unzipping her she's zipping up her backpack. She grabs her crutches. There's knocking on her door. She says, "Again? It's too early for this." She opens the door, and it's AJ. Oh, and he's wearing Clem's hat. And he says, "I knew it." Clem says, "AJ." AJ says, "I knew it. You're leaving." Clem says, "AJ." AJ says, "I'm coming." Clem says, "AJ, go back to the school." AJ says, "You weren't even going to say goodbye? This was just going to be a trip, right? Like last time. You were going to come back." Clem says, "This isn't a trip, AJ." Oh, God, I don't like the sound of that. AJ says, "Then where are we going?" Clem says, "AJ." She kneels down, sets down the crutches. She grabs AJ. "You can't come with me." Oh, no. Oh, I don't like this. I really don't like this. AJ pushes away from Clem, saying, "No, you said never go alone." Exactly. Clementine says, I know I did." AJ looks really sad. "You promised." Clem's crying. She says, "I have to break that promise." AJ's crying too. "Why?" Clem is still crying. She says, "I've known you since you were born, goofball." AJ's getting angry now. "I know the story." Clem says, "But you don't know what it means. Before we got here, I've lost track of all the times I nearly lost you. All those close calls, getting you here, somewhere safe, it's all I've wanted. And now with the coalition, having two other settlements around to help." Okay, so maybe the coalition's what the caravan that AJ and Violet / Lewis went to go see. "And now with the coalition, having 2 other settlements around to help, you can have a real life here with good people. The school isn't a hideout anymore, it's," AJ says, "home." Clem says, "Yeah." AJ says, "For both of us." Clem says, still crying, "No, baby, it's not for me. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not. AJ says, what? Clem says, happy. AJ's crying. He seems desperate. I can make you happy. Clem says, goofball, I love you, but you can't. And there's a walker coming right behind Clem. And then AJ shoots the walker. AJ says, where are you going? Clem says, north. Stashed a car up the road. That was a good shot. And then AJ's sniffling as he's crying. Well, you taught me. Clem says, look how big you've gotten. It happened so fast. Just remember to, and then AJ says, Clem. AJ says, and then Clem, and then I think this is what AJ's saying. I'll be okay. You did good. And it's Clementine carrying, it looks like a flashback of Clementine carrying a baby AJ in the snow. AJ runs away into the forest. Clementine just looking at the sky as we hear what sounds like walkers approaching her. And then it's just Clementine walking out into the woods with a knife as she approaches the walker, saying, Clementine will return in summer 2022. Okay, now, see, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it wasn't going to involve, like, characters like Violet or Lewis or indeterminate characters. I knew that was going to happen. I will say, Clementine basically just saying that she's not happy, like, I'm not sure how that feels, how I feel about that. It doesn't sit right with me. Like, because why is Clementine not happy? That's what I want to know. She says right here, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not happy. And AJ says, I can make you happy. Exactly. Why isn't Clem happy? We don't know that. Why isn't Clem happy here? She has Violet, and she has determinedly Violet or Lewis to be with her. AJ's a strong, capable survivor now. Why isn't she happy? And, I mean, I love the artwork. Tilly Walden did a great job here drawing Clem and AJ, but I don't understand why Clem is not happy with being at the Erickson school. I think it feels like she's leaving just so there can be another point of adventure. If they gave her a solid reason, I would be okay with that, but the way it sets up, like, it just feels awkward having her go off on her own, because even AJ calls her a hypocrite here, like, back here when Clem says, you can't come with me, AJ says, no, you said never go alone, and Clem says, I know I did. AJ says, you promised, and then Clem says, I have to break that promise. Now, I know there's some good stuff here where Clem says here, all these, and now with the coalition, having 2 other settlements around to help, you can have a real life here with good people. The school isn't a hideout anymore, it's home. And then AJ says, for both of us, so why isn't Clementine happy? What is so wrong with Clementine's life that she's not happy here being with AJ? And, I mean, I love the story concept, and I mean, I'm glad that it's not just like AJ and everyone died. If that happened, I would hate this story. But this, I can somewhat understand it. But yeah, like, it doesn't sit well with me that Clementine is just seemingly leaving because she's not happy. Like, you have AJ, you have Violet / Lewis, why aren't you happy? And, I mean, maybe we'll see that explored later on in the comics, but I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me as a fan of Clementine. And I know Tilly Walden didn't mean for this, she wants to find a way to tell a believable story with her, but just, I don't know, this doesn't really sit right with me, and it's not a bad story. It's not a horrible, terrible story. It doesn't ruin the final season. And I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of the comic she'll end up going back to Erickson's, but maybe we'll learn more of why she wants to leave. Why is she not happy at Erickson's? If it's a good reason, then I'll forgive this. But just saying it up right now, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I don't love it, and I don't hate it. It's kind of in between. I'm leaning more towards disliking it, but it's not a bad story. And I feel like just while we're at this, I'm just going to close this for a second. We need to talk about, like, why people have such a problem. This is, like, a problem I see a lot with media lately. That, like, people who hate, like, and I hope that people who are fans of Telltale, fans of Clementine, if they don't like this comic, that's fine. That's totally fine. You're allowed to hate this comic. But for me, I mean, not for me, but just for people who are, like, obsessed with Clementine or just care for her story so deeply like I do, for people who just hate this story and then just go off slandering this comic day after day after day, like, you see people who hate The Last of Us 2, and just like, even it's been out for a year and people still shit on that story. It's pathetic, and you're as people who are YouTubers who are just telling people that, oh, this is terrible, like, this company is like, no, your job, you influence people. You can't just go around spreading toxicity. You can say, yeah, you don't like it, but you don't have to go around constantly saying that people hate this comic. I mean, me? I don't know what to feel about this comic right now. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I didn't, like, I'm not sure if I liked it. I mean, it was an okay comic. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. I feel like it definitely set something up, and I'm interested to see where the Clementine comics go from here. I'll probably be making a video explaining further in depth as to how Skybound announced their Skybound comic series, which is going to be continuing the Clementine one shot. But yeah, so I'm not really sure how to feel about this. I feel like it definitely makes me intrigued. It's not like, oh, this sucks, I'm not going to pick up the Clementine comics. No, I really want to see how this goes down, and if it's bad, then it's bad, and I'll just pretend it didn't happen. But if it's good, and we find out a reason why Clementine isn't happy at Erickson's, then I'll forgive it. I'm willing to forgive it, at least. And I like to go. That's what I like to do. I like to go into this with an open mind. And if you hated this story, then that's totally okay. You're allowed to hate the story. I just don't want people, like, you can say that, yeah, like, I didn't like the story, like, like, I really hope that you're doing right with the next one. But don't just go online and say stuff like, oh, Tilly Walden's such a horrible writer, she ruined Clementine, she ruined the perfect story of the final season, I hope she gets canceled and everything like that. No, don't do that. Just, if you don't like the story, you can say, yeah, this Clementine isn't for me, I didn't like the directions that she took with it, but you know what? For people who want more Clementine and are happy about this, don't hate on people who like this comic. Because even though the jury's still out on this, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see where Clementine's story goes from here. And I hope you guys are too. At least some of you are. So yeah, if I had to rate this comic, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10 maybe. Rick Grimes 2000 was great though, even though it was mostly just a repeat of the original issue 0. I'd give it like maybe, Rick Grimes 2000 to give like an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. Clementine, I'd probably give like a 7.5 out of 10. It was good. It was good in a sense that it was decent. Like, it wasn't a horrible story. It wasn't a great story. It's interesting. I'm just like, the only thing that annoys me is I want to know why Clementine isn't happy. That's like, everything here was fine. Like the goodbye with AJ and all that. It was good. But I just want to know, why isn't Clementine happy? And as we just see here in the last 3 pages, when after AJ shoots the walker, AJ says, he puts his gun away saying, where are you going? Clementine says north, as we saw, she's going to Vermont. Stashed a car up the road, and then she says, AJ, that was a good shot. AJ says, well, you taught me. And then Clem says, just remember to, as she's crying, hugging AJ, and then AJ says, Clem, I'll be okay, you did good. And then AJ runs away back in the woods, probably towards Erickson. And then Clementine looks out in the forest as the sun rises, hears a walker coming, pulls out her knife, and begins to limp towards it, ready to kill it. And we see here, Tilly Walden is a best-selling cartoonist and illustrator from Austin, Texas. She's the creator of 6 graphic novels, including the Eisner Award-winning book Spinning and Are You Listening? She's been awarded an LA Times Book Prize, as well as multiple Ignatz Awards for her work. She graduated from the Center for Cartoon Studies in White River Junction, Vermont, where she now teaches. Now, again, okay, so there's more stuff here. There's actually a lot more. Okay, so here we go. We have a huge stuff about Clementine saying, Clementine lives. Bringing the beloved Clementine into comics for the first time is almost as daunting a task as surviving a horde of walkers. Thankfully, there's no one in comics more fearless than Tilly Walden. We fell in love with Tilly's haunting and emotional work in graphic novels like On a Sunbeam and Spinning, and when we received her initial pitch for Clementine Book 1, we knew it was something special. The short story in this volume serves as a bridge between the Telltale games and Clementine Book 1, a brand new graphic novel that takes place in the same world as the game and the Walking Dead comics. Of course, the branching narrative of the game meant we needed to make some decisions, but our North Star was always to stay true to Clementine's journey while pushing her forward into bold new places. We love Clem as much as you do, and just like Lee, we'll do anything to protect her. We're pleased to announce that Clementine Book 1 is the beginning of a trilogy of Clementine original graphic novels, all written and drawn by Tilly Walden. Book 1 will be released in June of 2022, and will kick off our new young adult and middle grade graphic novel series Skybound Comet. As we know from the blog post that Skybound released a few weeks ago, Skybound Comet is basically just going to be a young adult series of books that Skybound is launching next year. Keep an eye out for more Skybound Comet titles and first appearances within the pages of Skybound X. We can't wait to show you what we've got cooking. So to Clementine fans old and new, and Skybound fans young and old, we hope you enjoy our story and all stories to come. Still not bitten, not even close. Alex Antone, senior editor. And then we see concept art of Clementine's appearance in the comics as she's going to look in the Clementine one-shot. We see Tilly Walden's initial sketches of Clementine, and it looks really cool. We see Clementine's, like, she's grown her hair out a lot more. She's wearing her hat again, but as we know from this, but these are early sketches. So I think what we saw in the cover back, that's her final version, but this is her early version. She had long hair, she was still wearing her hat, but as we know, AJ has her hat now. So we know she's not going to keep her hat. She has really long hair, she's got a rifle slung over her back, she's got a winter outfit on, and she's got a hook leg instead of her peg leg that she had in this issue. And we have the inkings and the original sketches for issue 1 for the first page, and that's pretty cool. And we have here a little advertisement. Clementine Lives. Acclaimed author Tilly Walden enters the world of Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead with Clementine Book 1 coming June 2022 as part of Skybound's comics. And yeah, that's it. And then we say the celebration continues in Skybound X issue 2 with Rick Grimes 2000 chapter 2 stories in the Birthright and Stillwater series, and introducing the new series Everyday Hero Machine Boy, which that I'm looking forward to. That's another series that's going to be part of Skybound's comic alongside Clementine. But yeah, so having that read in mind, I am open to giving Tilly Walden a chance with the Clementine comics. I gotta say, I like the art. The artwork is great. I think the dialogue between AJ and Clem is great too. But just, I don't think Clement leaving just because she's saying she's not happy is enough for me. I'm interested to see how she explains she's not happy in the comics, in the future comics, seeing that explains it more. If it doesn't, then this drain's probably going to drop from a 7.5 to maybe a 6.5 or a 6. But, it wasn't a horrible comic. It was alright. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be based on what people I said hated it online. But, it wasn't really good either. So, but I'm interested, but if the comics, if the graphic novels that come out next year kind of better explain it, then I'm willing to give it another shot. So, yeah, that's my analysis. That's my reading of Rick Grimes Chapter 1 and the Clementine one-shot, which is going to be giving us our first look at the Clementine comic. That will be Book 1. That will be coming out in June of next year, and I'm definitely gonna be picking that up at least just to see how it goes. It's made me convinced to pick up the others, definitely. So I hope you guys enjoyed the comic at least somewhat, because even though I wasn't a big fan of most of it, I enjoyed some of it. I enjoyed parts of it, and that's all that matters. You just gotta learn to enjoy, even if stuff you absolutely despise. You always gotta find stuff that you can enjoy to some degree, and I hope you all take that to heart. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll definitely be making a video discussing my further thoughts on the Clementine one shot, and even discussing where I think Clementine Book 1 is gonna go from here. So if you're excited for that video, be sure to like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. And I might know what our future, but then you still control the past. Only you know